From Desire to System, Family Edition, a Xiao Wellness Media production, a reflective family learning journey, documenting how rhythm, structure, and calm can teach the next generation the language of awareness and choice. This series documents my personal process of teaching my daughter about structure, awareness, and financial literacy within our own family setting. It is shared for reflection and educational purposes only, not a financial, legal, or investment advice. All examples, observations, and discussions are intended solely to illustrate learning concepts as part of our family journey. Raising a financially confident child. The beginning of financial awareness. Most people learn about money through pressure. I wanted my daughter to learn through clarity. This part of the journey marked a quiet shift when learning moves beyond preparation and becomes lived experience, not through performance or outcomes, but through rhythm, observation, and time. December marked the first month where learning moved from preparation into lived experience. November set the foundation. December introduced rhythm, the experience of observing a full cycle from beginning to completion with calm and intention. This month focused on presence rather than performance. We observed small, carefully guided examples using AAPL, Uber, MSFT, and Sophie. Each position was selected for clarity and safety, creating space to notice how value moves over time and how decisions reach completion. The purpose remained understanding the flow, not measuring results. The learning account is intentionally modest. Its role is education only. Position size reflects that purpose and reinforces the principle that clarity comes before scale. Every example was framed around preparation, patience, and respect for structure. Alongside the monthly cycles, a daily routine began to form. Each morning before school, we review the learning account together. We look at the budget, revisit the first monthly statement, and check pre-market activity. Sophia goes through her watch list one company at a time, observing whether prices are up or down, treating it like a simple game of movement and observation. We discuss whether any daily actions are required and write that note down. When she leaves for school, any necessary trade placement is handled by me, fully supervised and for educational purposes only. At the end of each day, we review what happened together. We look at price movement, note whether positions changed, and talk through the outcome calmly. Sophia then writes her journal entry in Chinese characters with a small drawing, documenting what she observed and what she learned. This routine has become steady and grounding, a shared practice built around curiosity, structure, and consistency. Throughout the month, execution remained intentional. Entries were approached calmly. Exits were observed without attachment. Outcomes were reviewed neutrally. What was released was a single pattern: pressure. In its place, observation and patience became the default. An important shift occurred during this cycle. Learning moved from watching concepts to witnessing complete trade flows. Confidence developed quietly through repetition, seeing how preparation leads to movement and how movement eventually settles. Each example offered a distinct lesson. AAPL demonstrated controlled movement. Uber revealed faster swings. MSFT emphasized patience and timing. SOFI Cash Secure put examples illustrated how preparation and structure support responsible financial processes. The lessons were simple and foundational. Small examples teach essential principles. Structure reduces stress. Thoughtful preparation matters. Waiting improves clarity. Financial systems operate through planning, not guessing. December established a gentle rhythm built on safety, supervision, and understanding. It formed the base for everything that follows as we continue learning side by side, slowly and responsibly. And before any of this learning began, clear boundaries, shared intentions, and a calm framework for understanding financial systems were established. Understanding options together. Before the learning account was funded, we sat together and wrote goals, simple words, honest hopes, and the kind of clarity I wish I had been given when I was young. The focus was freedom, choosing how time is spent in adulthood, moving through life with ease, doing meaningful work, and having the ability to direct each day without pressure. There was also a desire to understand money calmly, to learn how value is created, what causes it to move, and how thoughtful choices shape stability. In simple words, I want to know how money works so I don't feel confused when I'm big. Together we wrote, I want to build my account step by step. I want to understand how money and value work. I want to feel free with my time when I'm older. With those intentions set, the foundation felt clear. This remains an observation-only learning experience, with Sophia learning about money safely by my side under full parental guidance. With the account now funded, the direction ahead is grounded and simple. The basic concepts are already understood. How money moves, how different tools serve different purposes, and why structure matters. Everything inside this account remains fully supervised and used only for education, never for performance or financial results. The homes of money are clear, and each category makes sense. With that foundation, the next step is observing how certain financial tools create activity through planning and structure. I introduced the cash secure put purely as an educational example, something adults may use, not something handled independently. It serves to illustrate preparation, responsibility, and the disciplined thinking behind financial processes. This is not a method for earning, but a window into how structured choices operate in the adult world. Before observing the first CSP cycle, there must be an understanding of the company used as an example, the reasoning behind the strike, and the safety rules supporting collateral-based tools. This reinforced that financial decisions must be intentional, informed, and grounded in responsibility. As long-term ownership ideas begin to make sense, the next step is simply observing how adults may use certain financial tools to create structured activity. This is not something used by a minor, and there is no expectation of results. The purpose is to understand the process, the preparation required, the choice involved, and the calm thinking behind each decision. Each cycle becomes a gentle demonstration of planning, reflection, and responsible judgment. This is our direction now, a mother and daughter learning side by side, staying within safe boundaries, moving through financial concepts slowly and responsibly, documenting each step along the way. As December continued, the learning naturally narrowed. After observing full cycles from entry to completion, the next layer revealed itself. Time. Not price, not outcome, but how decisions unfold when given space. With the foundation already in place, our attention shifted from what moves to when it moves and how patience becomes part of the structure. This week, our focus became learning time. An important moment emerged when one of Sophia's top watchlist stocks, Roblox, moved down in value. When she noticed the change, we paused and talked through what it meant. I explained that selling now would lock in a loss, while holding allows her to observe what happens when value declines and time continues. Together, we chose to keep the position for now, not to predict a recovery and not to avoid discomfort, but to learn. The goal was simple: to experience what it feels like when value goes down, how patients work in real time, and how decisions shift depending on timing. This is a one-share position, intentionally small. One share is enough to teach the concept without pressure. It creates a safe space to notice emotions, observe movement, and understand what it means to decide when to exit or not. Alongside this, we continued observing positions with different expiration weeks. This helps Sophia see that decisions do not need to happen all at once. Spreading expirations across weeks creates space to think, review, and manage cash responsibly. Each position has its own timeline, and each timeline deserves patience. Nothing is rushed. Each expiration sits where it belongs. As we reviewed these timelines together, she began to see how time works alongside structure. Some weeks require attention, others simply wait. Planning across time reduced pressure and kept decisions calm. Budgeting remained part of our daily rhythm. After mapping upcoming expirations, she could clearly see that some cash remained untouched. This reinforced an essential lesson. Not using money is also a decision. Waiting is part of the process, not the absence of action. Market movement felt familiar rather than emotional. Prices moved as they do, some days active, some quiet. The focus stayed on timing, preparation, and respect for structure. What stood out most was how confidence formed quietly, not from outcomes, but from repetition. Seeing how time, planning, and patience worked together replaced uncertainty with understanding. This remains an observation-only learning experience. All activity is fully supervised. No decisions are made independently, and nothing here is about performance or results. The purpose is to understand how financial systems operate through timing, responsibility, and structure. This is where we are now, learning how time works, 1 week at a time. At this stage, Sophia started noticing my watch list more closely. When she saw a company she liked, she wanted to add it to her own list right away. Instead of saying yes immediately, I slowed the moment down. I explained that her watch list is not just a place to collect names. It's a filter. It represents interest, attention, and the beginning of responsibility. Before adding anything, we talked about the company itself. What does this company do? How does it stay in business? Why do people pay it money? Once she could explain those answers in her own words, I let her add it. That helped her understand that choosing a company is a form of respect. In her mind, the watch list became a place of potential ownership, not impulse. Another real moment kept repeating. A stock she owned stayed down longer than she expected. Each time she saw it, she felt the urge to sell. We talked about that feeling together. I explained that wanting to sell is often just a way to release pressure. It's not always about the company. I compared it to a child who isn't listening. We don't get rid of the child. We pause, we stay calm, and we work through the moment. She began to understand that learning to stay neutral when something feels uncomfortable is a skill. Holding steady is sometimes the work. Waiting became part of this lesson too. Some positions we placed together didn't show results right away. Option contracts also needed time to mature. She started to see that waiting isn't passive. The longer we allow time to do its job, the more meaningful the lesson becomes. Practicing patience this way turned waiting into something active and purposeful. Discipline stayed simple and consistent. Every morning before school, we checked the account together. Even on days when nothing happened, we showed up. She looked at her list and called out what was up and what was down, turning it into a game. Up or down became familiar, not emotional. Watching became normal. This routine mattered more than any result. Showing up without needing to act built confidence and calm. Over time, she learned that discipline doesn't mean doing something every day. It means paying attention consistently. This is where Part 7 lives. Choosing before acting, understanding before adding, feeling without reacting, waiting without forcing, showing up without pressure. This is how responsibility begins to form. Quietly, naturally, and at the right pace for a child. I used to think trading meant winning as much as possible. What I learned instead is that the real work is building something that holds when conditions turn difficult. Some days feel easy, others feel unstable. The goal isn't perfection. It's staying balanced and moving forward without overload. I describe my system like a strong backpack. No decoration, just enough strength to carry what matters on uneven ground. That's why simplicity matters. Some days I rely on fewer tools. Other days I pause completely. At times a small gain is enough. Those choices aren't driven by fear. They're made to protect clarity and energy. Then I bring it into her world. Stopping isn't quitting. Waiting isn't losing. Choosing protection over force is real strength. Cash becomes recovery. Recovery isn't empty. It keeps capacity intact. When I step back, I say it plainly. I'm protecting my system today. She learns that decisions don't always need urgency. Stability comes before speed. The lesson isn't trading. The lesson is learning how to build something that absorbs pressure and continues anyway. Resilience, mastery. Understanding arrives through observing composed decisions unfolding presently. Guidance becomes tangible for children, never via coercion, rather using steadiness plus care. Framework crystallizes, longevity follows. She understands by witnessing calm decisions happening in real moments. This is how discipline becomes real for a child. Not through pressure, but through steadiness and care. The system forms. That's why it holds. After a while, understanding grew around cash-secure puts. I explained selling never meant ownership immediately. Instead, readiness existed toward buying shares only once a market offered acceptable numbers. Frustration appeared. Her strike stayed untouched. Time passed. Stillness continued. She felt blocked. Therefore, teaching shifted. A cash-secure put shows readiness. It sounds like, I want this business someday, but cheaply. Buying cannot happen by force. Markets decide, perspective change, nothing was lost. Preparation existed. Once comfort settled, another idea arrived. Covered calls. This approach began through purchasing stock first. Those belonged entirely to her. Then came explanation. Selling calls equals promises. Promises allow selling shares at chosen prices when value rises there. While waiting patiently, income appears. Pressure disappears. Hurry fades. If value stays below the target, ownership remains and payments are earned. If value reaches the target, selling happens calmly. The connection formed as she observed how each role serves a different purpose. Cash secure puts built patience. Covered calls built care. One waits for ownership. The other manages it. Both require thought and reward calmness. Being involved doesn't always mean acting. Preparation helps her understand responsibility and allows time to do the compounding. Ownership becomes thoughtful, and that's where confidence grows.